everybody. Welcome to the most ill-conceived business podcast around the Business is Bullshit podcast. I'm James Hornick. Joining me are two gentlemen talking in their real normal voices, not their announcer PA voices today, except for maybe Jared. Jared Gibson and John Sarakis. Welcome, guys.
Thank you, buddy. Good to be here with you.
What's up, buddy?
It's good. I haven't seen you guys since last night. It's been crazy.
I know. It's been a crazy, crazy night.
All right.
I had to dip out early.
Excuse me. Episode 16, Trend Following is Bullshit. Let me lay this one up. And I guess before we get into the deep of this, places where trend following isn't bullshit, like the financial markets, things that tend to keep going, or maybe if you're really good at conning VCs out of money, if you can follow that trend, like the AI trend, good for you if you're able to ride that wave. But, yeah, when we talk about trend following, I think that you see it on social media, you see it in the real world. People just copy each other or do the same things everyone else is doing. And it's so nauseating. And also it just legitimately leads to stupid business outcomes. So we wanted to rip into it. And I think there were three things. There might be more than this. These are just the three that we came up with. And we've got examples of all of them. Wishful identification, lack of originality, meaning you're just boring, and external pressure causes performative exercises. And I think these are three completely separate things, but they all kind of fall in the same category of bullshit trend following. So, I'll lead this one off too, because how this came up. Actually, wishful identification. Do you guys know what that is? You guys heard it before?
I learned it when you said you wanted to talk about it.
Yeah, okay. After a plug-in
before I said, hey guys, we should look. So for everyone out there, wishful identification, it's actually something I learned from Mike Winnett, but it's a real thing. Where you see it most often is like social media influencers, right? So if someone's a beauty influencer and they're trying to tell you here's their skincare routine to get their perfect skin, meanwhile they had perfect skin, they're just selling you bullshit. Or if they're a financial influencer and here's the trade I use to do this and that, or here's my Lambo in the background, and it's like a hustle bro kind of like self-help type thing. Meanwhile, either that Lambo was rented and they're poor, or they were born with money and they're just trying to sell you a course, because that's like the thing that's undefeated way of making money is selling someone a course to do something, whether it works or not. And every influencer field has this, fitness, everything else. I think this sneaks into business more often than people want to admit.
So really quick, so to make sure we're on the same page here.
Yeah. Would
this be like, all right, I keep getting served these ads for these bathing suits, right? And I need to get some bathing suits. You know what? These look like cool bathing suits. So I'm going to buy the bathing suit. I get it. I try it on. I'm like, oh, fuck. I do not look like the guy in that picture.
It's not why the product sucks. It's why people buy into it, because I want to be that person. You know what I mean?
Well, that's
I want to wishfully identify with, like, I want to be rich like that person.
I want that guy's body.
Yes. It's all these things where, like, it's in the psyche of the people who buy into this shit. It's like they wishfully identify with clearly bullshit or flawed ideas, and it skews their inability to like stop following that trend or buying into whatever nonsense.
So let me quick example here, and then I think this is on point. A few years ago, I went to Gary V and who's the other guy that big rah guy? He's well known. He was in Tony Robbins. Gary V, Tony Robbins, and Mr. Wonderful Kevin O'Leary had this event at United Center. So I go to it. I'm like, it's going to be cool to see them. I get there, and it's like an all-day event. They don't come on till the end.
Yeah.
So you literally have to sit through all these people preaching these get-rich-quick schemes.
I can't believe you went to that. Oh
no,
my
I
God.
didn't. Well, I just wanted to go see Gary V and Tony Robbins, like Gary V mostly. But leading, I didn't even get to it because I'm like, this is so bad. So I left. The people that were in that building were taking notes. They were celebrating. They were cheering. They were like, we're literally there to get rich quick. And I'm sure that none of them did. But
wishful identification is the number one tool that all those hucksters have. They get people who are desperate and want to buy into their con because they want it to work, because they want to have the life that those guys pretend to have.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm kind of torn on this because, I'm like, I'm a marketer, right? So I think as a marketer, you need to find something that's missing and have someone identify with that thing, and then they attach to it, right? I think where it goes a little bit too far is these, like, you could say like Gary Vee or definitely Tony Robbins and maybe some of the others, they take it to a formulaic approach where they know this about that other person and they find that weakness, and then it's exploited. So maybe I'm not as torn as I initially thought, because they're is a whole slew of people that just get addicted to this whole like self-help. It's like the sucker's born every minute. Um, but on the flip side of that, I guess the part that I'm torn is I think there is some good, and that some good is like if you hear me out. Hold on. As a kid, you had posters on your wall, right? I mean, like some may have been Michael Jordan, and some may have been I don't know. It could have been some like drag queen. I don't know what you guys were into. But the point I'm making is like if you find that identity of that thing that you want to conform with, there is a positive in that in that wishful identification. On the flip side, when it's used against you, that's where I think is that evil side.
There's a difference between aspirationally following someone as a legitimate success story versus getting conned into following a get rich quick scheme. Anyways, the reason why I wanted to bring this up is because I actually want to take it out of the world of like influencers in the real world context. Because here's the real world thing came up. I was talking to someone who's a contact of mine. She's at a company, and one of their executives keeps like mentioning and forwarding like Google's return to work policy and like we should be doing this, as Google's doing it. And it's like there's a gap there, realizing that like you're not Google, and just doing what Google does to get employees back in the office, or why isn't just going to work. Just copying what they do because you want to be them doesn't mean everything that they do is actually going to work out for your business. And I believe that's also part of like wishful identification. Like, you want to be Google, you're following the trend of whatever Google does. Now, the reason why is like my sister, unrelated, works for Google. I went to get breakfast there one day, just met her up, right? Their office is insane. It's absolutely ridiculous. Like, there's a guy making omelets, there's a barista making coffee, there's this full spread for breakfast. It's as good as any place you're going to go to, like for brunch. They got a sweet ass gym. They've got like all these amenities, and it was similar to like we work with a big pharmaceutical company years ago, like in the suburbs. They had like on-site laundry, they had shuttles going to they intentionally wanted to build the office to be so sweet that it made employees' lives easier. So going to work was easier than staying home. This is before the pandemic, because all the stupid tasks and things you need to do, like you could get that someplace that like childcare. So yeah, if return to work policy is something and I'm not saying people should do a return to work policy, but like, it's one thing if you have that sweet of a setup, yeah, that's going to work out really well for you. If you have a crappy office like downtown, like, and saying, well, Google's going back to the office, yeah, you're not fucking Google. Like, their shit's great, yours is terrible. Like, you should, like, it's just a flawed idea that just copying them is going to be good. So
yeah, like a buffet where people are like, oh, I'm going to take this, but I'm not going to create some incredible technology that everybody uses.
Yeah. So I see it a lot with my business. I literally had to build a slide because I had 2 calls back to back one day of people coming on and saying, me talk, what are your goals? What do you want to do here? All this stuff. And both people said, I want to do what Adam Robinson's doing. I want to be this creator that creates all this content on LinkedIn and have a massive following and get tons of engagement, tons of clients from it. And it's like, that's not how it works. He founded a business called RB2B software. Anyway, big influencer guy on LinkedIn. And I don't think people understand how much time and effort and work it takes to get to that status. Like all the work that he put in over the years to get to where he is today. And I just think a lot of people are looking for shortcuts, looking to cut corners based on what the facade that they see on like LinkedIn. When James, it goes back to these like people that are massive influencers and people just wanting to kind of grab onto that and say like, that's what I want to be. And it's like, it's not, you don't just snap your finger and get there. Like it takes a lot of time, energy. And by the way, strategy. He's got a massive strategy with a lot of the content that he puts out. And a lot of these people that are influencers do. If you don't have a strategy and a plan to do it, then you're going to fail miserably at it. So I see it all the time.
And I mean, granted, I think we all probably have certain things where we have this misconception of like things being easier than they are, or wanting things really bad to be easier than they are. But nowhere where anybody's making a ton of money consistently, where they're just not losing it, that they haven't had to put all this work in, or nobody that's in like insane shape. or anybody that has anything that's really great. Now, granted, there's some things that are gifted to you, whether it could be like an athletic ability or your ability to do something.
I was actually going to say that about Insane Shape. The amount of like fitness influencers, I think this is real too. The amount of them who were just like, they were D1 athletes, like they looked like that the day they showed up to the gym. There are people like that out there.
There are,
but then they use my health plan, my meal plan. Like these people, the average person is never going to look at like
right.
you.
There's some people that genetically are never going to be able to have an ass. It's just they either have the muscles there or not. They get implants, right? That's the thing. I mean, if you want to look beautiful, I mean, earn a lot more money because ugly people are usually poor. Rich people usually look good. No, this is okay because you can buy looks. You can buy these things. So work really hard at something. But getting back to the point, God, I'm going to go way off here. Fuck it.
I think you already have gone way off. I don't know, man. There's a lot of ugly billionaires out there. I just.
But they could buy it. Look, dude. Look at Bezos. Before,
that's good. Bezos.
Dude, I mean, like he was creepy. Like, dude, you would literally look at him and be like,
Bezos after is
you would bet on him being a child molester and probably win to some extent in some kind of fictional world. But you see him now or whatever, and dude, he looks like a hitman or like some kind of contract killer. You're
Ripped.
Like, okay, I mean, that dude gets down. But the point I'm making is like in anything, whether you're going to have like an OnlyFans account or you're going to, have the best car detailing business, if you're going to be successful at it, there's roads of work that you had to do previously and lots of failures, and you're going to consistently have to get better at whatever it is that you're doing. So there's a mindset, and that's that get rich quick, get skinny fast, that whole thing.
Tony Robbins put a lot of work into conning people. Like the decades of experience he has in running scams, like you're not going to get there overnight. Anyway.
Well, I also look at like, and going back to LinkedIn, all these influencers on LinkedIn that pitch like all the stuff. This is how you go from 0 followers to 100,000, like all this shit
bots.
That is just all over LinkedIn.
No,
we don't. Let's not go down that rabbit hole.
I'm going to buy some. You're selling bots. Businesses.
A lot of those people are literally preying off of the desperate.
Yes.
And the desperate want to get there, and they want to figure out ways to get there. And they're like, I don't know. It's littered on
political
the
though.
platform.
Like think of the politicians and like the pandering that they go to the masses and they go to those people. It's like the same type of mentality, and you're literally like it's predatory to some extent.
Yeah,
that's
Let's
one
move
box.
On. Here's one down. Wishful identification one. Second one is pretty more straightforward. Lack of originality. A lot of fucking uncreative people out there that run a lot of companies. That's probably as simple as that. And I know you guys have stuff to say here, but Jared, what do you got? Lack of originality.
I'm going to stay in the sales space. I think that there are a lot of executive sales leaders, CEOs of businesses that are still stuck on the because they refuse to do any outside the box thinking, the predictive revenue model of the spray and pray, where you just send out cold messages and sequences, and that shit doesn't work anymore. Yet you still see so many businesses run it because their sales leaders or their CEOs think that it still works, and it hasn't worked in 10 plus years. It's because they're unoriginal. It's because they can't think outside the box and come up with new. It's like, well, this worked for us back then. Like, let's just keep doing it. It's just, so I think that's probably the one that I would go to. I'm sure you guys have better ones than that, but
they also kept following the old trend. Like that's the other thing too. Like shit just quit working. But like, I had a couple kind of along the same lines. You could say the same thing with like Slack and Discord communities, and maybe even not live communities. Like they take a lot of effort to like keep those things maintained. Like the amount, I remember when Slack communities got really big a couple of years ago, like I even tried starting one just with my friends, and it's a lot of fucking work. Like there's some out there, like I think Pavilion always had a lot of success with that, but like if you're not, it's an active thing, not something you can just up and copy.
Are you on Pavilions?
No, I'm not.
I'm on Pavilions now. It is loud.
I've heard of it. What is it?
It's very loud. There's some good stuff, and I've met a lot of good people, but it's loud.
Is this like that suck ass phone thing that they did during COVID, where people would like all share
John,
calls? And...
you went to a Pavilion event with James and I. No, James didn't go with me.
Oh, that was cool. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
That's all right. Well, that's an in-person community. I wouldn't say that that's just like a Discord.
Well, they have a massive Slack channel, huge Slack channel.
Got it.
Or another one. Let's start another podcast, guys. Everyone wants to start a podcast.
That's right. Yeah, but see, those are channels though. So I don't say that's like a lack of originality. Because for instance, like I know people that are crushing it at direct mail right now. I'm not going to hate on them for that.
Yeah, but
It's a channel. Now, if you're
I,
sending out something,
people think it's be easy though. Like, oh, just spin it up and do it. Like, because there's a lot of podcasts out. Like, look, people can listen. The 5 people listening to this, I don't know. We seem to get feedback. First off, there's actually
7.5.
There's really no actual business outcome expected here. We're just talking shit with each other because we feel like it. But the amount of boring podcasts out there, my God, like who are they sell? Like, I don't know.
But so I think when I think of like a lack of originality, I mean, there's a ton of it. Just look at what people are doing with AI now. One AI is a buzzword, right? Mm-hmm. So I think even last night when some of those speakers were just pontificating, all these just dry answers. One of the things that they said though is true though, like yeah, AI, VC money, those things are getting picked up. Well, yeah, no shit. Because everybody I know that was doing automation or just had something that was software, they've just rebranded that with AI, right? To get it. Yeah, no lack of originality, but it's like, all right, this is what they know what works. And as like marketers and sales, you could just beat your head against the wall just doing it. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we were at a really boring event last night, and we won't say where it was. And by the time you hear this, you won't know which one it was. But yeah,
I had fun. I thought it was a good event. You're bored at every event.
I was not the first one to leave. It was John this time. So,
but John had whatever. It was. I
had to take care of something, but anyway, yeah. I guess to the point. The point I'm making, speakers last night or a lot of things out there, it's all fear. Everybody's afraid of being, marginalized, afraid of being rejected, afraid of, somebody having a contrarian point to them. And that's kind of to what we're talking about with some of our AI posts on LinkedIn or our post on LinkedIn where people are just having AI responses to in the comments. I would rather somebody get in the comments and say, "Fuck you, I hate your guts," than to just put like a platitude in there because it's like, ooh,
James,
something.
James, have you done that yet?
We're going to John's status right now and saying, "Fuck you, I hate your guts." Everyone check John's feed. We're going to do that immediately. So actually, we talked last night. This might be a podcast topic, but another trend is like, why does every onsite, like the amount of onsite events that have to have panels of speakers that don't actually say anything because they're never given enough time. You're like, okay, let's ask a basic question to 4 different people and they're all going to give a 20-second answer and no one learns a damn thing because like it's all so surface level. But everyone follows that trend because it's like an easy thing to set up or we get a bunch of impressive names, but like no one likes those events ever. No. Have you ever been to a panel event? You're like, wow, I really learned something that day.
And if people were encouraged to push, right? Because I was talking to my cousin after the event or something. I was like, yeah, they're just like saying just like typical stuff. He's like, well, do you know more than the rest of the audience there? I was like, no, I don't. I think we were probably all on the same level, right? But when we go to these panel events, we expect like some kind of something that's lively between some great minds of like Steve Jobs and Bill Gates, where one is going to say something to the other, and that just doesn't happen. But does that mean that we shouldn't have those things? I guess in my world it does. Like, I mean, if you can't have something that's the best, or you're going to do something that's going to risk insult, you probably shouldn't do it because
if your event was so boring that the next day there's 3 jerk offs making a podcast about how much they hated it, probably was a good event.
Hold on. There's 2 jerk offs, not 3.
There was good people there, though. I'll say that there was good people.
There's a good crowd. Yeah. The part before and after the actual event, A+. Free drinks and good people, but like the whole anyway.
It was a sales pitch for like those events are put on not to entertain us. It's to sell to, like, I'm sure that like the panelists wanted to, like, they were like the moderator was trying to sell to one of the panelists and like building a relationship that way. Like it's another channel to bring in business, right? We just happen to be the audience of it. But behind the scenes, there was likely deals getting done between a panelist, the sponsors, whoever that was. I'm just saying that's how that's a channel. That's a selling channel
for sure.
Eventual
channel, yeah. And I kind of circling it back to the point of like a lack of originality, though. But I think it comes down to people just staying within this box, and there isn't any form of creativity. And I guess with people such as ourselves going to a lot of these, the novelty wears off. And how do you create that novelty? The novelty is in
we go to a lot. We go to a lot of these.
All right. So, I mean, in some in some countries, they'd probably call us experts at that, but I'm not going to dare say that here. But what I would say though is that where does all the novelty come from? It's just in having the people engage. That's why everybody goes, right? To just go engage. So why would you try to jam something down their throat that really didn't sound like anybody actually wanted?
Yeah, the headline for this one is just like lack of originality, and like the amount of events we go to where whoever put it together just like copy and pasted the last event they went to and like, let's do exactly that because I don't have to, because you know how it is. We've put on events, like it sucks. No one likes doing it. You just feel like it's something you have to do. But I'm just saying that is a problem though too. Like lack of originality, like you would get more business, to your point, Jared, like deals behind the scenes if you actually had a killer event. Full stop.
Yeah. No.
So do we have anything else? Any other lack of originality topics here? I don't know if you guys.
I mean, we could probably do an entire podcast just on lack of originality alone.
Yeah. Why don't we put a pin in that then? We can.
Yeah, I'd come back to that one because there's nobody's original anymore.
No, it's like steal but don't get caught, right? The old cliche.
Yeah, it's like people are just like you guys mentioned it. Like people are too scared to be original. Mm-hmm. Too scared to be original. They're too scared they're going to say the wrong thing. They're going to do the wrong thing, or it's not going to work. People are terrified of failure, and unoriginality can cause failure, and they're terrified of that. I think if you look at the successful people that put on events, the successful people that are growing their business, a lot of it was probably based on a lot of unoriginal failures or original failures that didn't work out, but they found one that did. So I don't know. There's probably a bunch of different examples we could use in another conversation.
But I think there's also, I mean, kind of going back to the chain, like it's okay to figure out something that works, right? And then continually do that thing. The difficulty is in where people can't see your formula. And if that's where it works, like in movies, right? We kind of all know that a plot exists because we want to find out what's going to happen next, but we don't really, we don't think that. You know what I'm saying? Once you're involved in it. No, I'm not making a lot of sense with this right now. I'm not articulating it properly. In fact, I'm going to edit.
Let's just move on. It's fine. We'll take our time. We'll do another podcast just on lack of originality when all of us had more than 5 minutes to prepare for it. All right, so the last one, and I think this is where John's gonna cancel himself. Jared, I want you to go first on this one.
Why do I have to go first?
Because I think you'll do a better job of actually saying something people can resonate with before John takes it off the rails, and then I can clean up his mess afterwards. But the high level topic is the external pressure and performative exercises. What does that mean, Jared? Give us an example of external pressure causing a performative exercise.
I mean, I wish you could have figured out a more for a less educated person like myself what the hell that actually means. I know what it means because I looked into it.
It's not the example word. Come on.
The example that jumped out to me, and I've been thinking about this for a little bit now, especially this month, is that where did all of the pride flags go for LinkedIn logos for companies? Like they were everywhere.
There's still one on
years ago. Okay, I haven't gone to their LinkedIn channel in a while, but they were everywhere. Now they're nowhere. It's because it was the hot thing to do. People were pressured to do it a few years ago, and politics changed, things changed, and now people are not doing it anymore. And when you ask them about it, they like push back and they say, this is just, it's not something we want to focus on anymore.
You find out who's serious about a topic and who's not serious about a topic when the trends, the external pressure and trends change, because that's when you find out, their support for something was actually bullshit. They were never that serious about it.
Yeah.
John, go ahead. Get yourself canceled.
Here we go.
I think it's so in the 80s, 90s, you could even probably say 60s, 70s, like focus groups were all the rage, right? Mm-hmm. Ad agencies, marketing agencies are like, oh yeah, this is what Betty said. This is what Carl said. Like they would push it. But all of a sudden, all that goes away. They think they're listening to social media. They think they know who their customer base is, and then they're going to just stick a flag or some kind of signal on top of it. Mm-hmm. And all they do is alienate. It is the dumbest risk you can do. But they think that there's this loud, cacophony of people that are screaming that this is what you're going to do, and then that's supposed to generate into sales. And then when it doesn't, it just fades away. And This is just a perfect example of it. I think that's the most PC way of me explaining my position on it.
I mean, I'm still unsure on what the word cacophony is, so that could be something. But
the amount of words you don't know really is mind blowing when you think about it. John and I are going to keep it. John and I are going to keep a tally of how many points I score on Jared, and how many points John scores on Jared.
I'll tell you every time. James, you've heard of the word cacophony?
Yes.
What does cacophony mean?
Usually from context clues, you can piece together just like I couldn't give the definition from like a dictionary, but like just a bunch of noise, just like an overwhelming amount of noise.
A fantastic definition.
Pretty close. Yeah. I mean,
all right, that's my Pee Wee's Playhouse word of the day.
Dude, it is
cacophony.
You've never heard that before. You've never heard that word before.
You've never heard performative either?
Oh, performative, I've heard. Dumbass. Of course I fucking hear that.
So, I mean, here's the thing. We were wanting to, this has been something that I talked to a lot of HR people, and I could see it when it was happening, like in the DEI space, right? Now, DEI's biggest topic, it's going to like get people upset on one side or the other. But I think so. I think people have a lot more, people would agree with a lot more the conceptual. I think that most people believe that there should be fairness, and we should be encouraging and not discriminating against, and getting more opportunity at the, people are growing up, making sure everyone has more access to be able to better themselves the rest of their lives, right? Like there's not many people that think like the best person shouldn't get the job, but also we need to make sure we're including everyone so everyone has an opportunity to get that interview. Like there's not many people who are going to disagree with this, right? But as even when things started to get really popular in that realm, the real adults in the room recognized there were a lot of hucksters out there trying to make a buck. And there were a lot of people who weren't actually experts in the space, who were just selling themselves that way, became consultants, or even got big positions at big companies. And, that's part of the a bad execution rollout is part of the reason why so many people got upset by it. But then similarly to what Jared kind of started by saying, this is like just the logos and changing colors, like that's not actually meaningful impact. That's just, look at me, I support the current thing. And that is also detrimental to the actual point of trying to make a change, where you're trying to get people included in equality in hiring and more inclusion in the workplace. Like bullshit ways of doing that are counterproductive to meaningful change. Anyway,
Isn't that politics?
Totally is. But I think ultimately what we're saying here is like it comes down to integrity, like in your values and like what you really believe. And none of these companies actually give a flying fuck.
No, they don't. That's the whole point we're making.
And it's okay. It's capitalism. At the end of the day, they exist to make a profit, right? Or they should exist. And then when you put all these other things on it, and you get away from a meritocracy, then what are you doing? That's not business anymore. Like, so it's hire the best people to do the best job, to offer the best thing for your customers. That's it.
I agree that capitalism, like it should be there, like companies are responsible to make money, but you don't have to be disingenuous to do it. And I think we're saying the same thing. Like you don't need to be disingenuous about these things in order to like be a successful company.
What happened with Bud Light? The story, you guys probably know the story a little bit better.
Bud Light sent out like 60 or 100 different cans to influencers. They sent out one to a trans
each
person.
This one pissed me off too, because they sent out exactly one can to 100. So each person got one can of their own face on the can. It wasn't like they sent out cases of beer, like went all in. But people were really upset about there was a trans person.
Dylan Mulroney or something like that.
I don't remember who it was. One can.
I was a follower, but not anymore.
One can, someone took a picture and they decided to cancel Bud Light over it or something. Like it was the stupidest thing ever. Because if you listen, because everyone's acting like, oh, they made like they're pumping this into stores, and like no, they just made a can so someone could take a picture on social media. I think doing business with hundreds of influencers is a dumb idea, because like those are people who probably like you're trying to get have every person in the world endorse your brand,
which is terrible marketing. Though
it's terrible marketing. Yeah.
So I mean,
but I also think the outrage was stupid too. So, anyways,
but the outrage was based on, like, I guess, lack of a better term, evidence, where they're stitching together that, oh, hey, this I think it wasn't even the CMO. I think it was like a lower level marketing director, if I'm not mistaken, was trying to move Bud Light away from the frat crowd. Like, that was your fucking crowd.
Yeah.
Get greedy. Like just do everything you can to keep feeding that audience. So I like that. I mean, I wasn't never necessarily like a Bud Light fan, but when something like this blows up, like I think it's a really important lesson to everybody is, dude, do the right thing for your customers. That's it. Like that's the lesson. Once you go outside of that box, you deserve whatever's coming to you.
I will say, I've always liked Modelo better than than Bud or Bud Light or Miller. And then Modelo came the #1 beer in America. I'm like, yes, validation.
Oh man, dude, like I was never a Bud Light fan, but like a regular Budweiser, dude, that's a damn good beer, man.
Yeah, I hate it.
The old Earnhardt.
I would say in my 20s I was more of a Miller Lite guy, but no, they're all bad. They're all terrible.
Yeah,
I mean,
I would never buy any of those beers, period, just because they're gross. But
I mean, you drink them at like sporting events or concerts because that's what's there, and then you got to just piss the entire time.
Well, it's not even an American-owned company anymore. So, like, I mean, I don't even want to hear about the wine.
You get a hangover before you get drunk. It's great, it's wonderful.
But no, I think kind of circling it back to that, it just comes down to integrity and values, man. Either you have them and you're going to stick to what you have, or you're not.
Yeah, but there's a lot of examples of that. There's the whole greenwashing thing. Sustainability became like a big thing, so everyone wanted to put their zero emissions pledge on these things, and it turns out like half the stuff was like false and didn't actually reduce emissions anywhere. But whatever you could do to pretend like you cared about the environment. I mean, there's a lot of these types of things out there if you really pay attention to it, and a lot of people fall for it though too. So there's a lot of people that think. There's still people think VW is a good company. They're one of the worst companies that ever existed. They literally made a car that they tried to cheat the emission standards. They were selling it as like this green car, and all of a sudden it's like it's the dirtiest car out there. But there's a lot of that out there, a lot of scammers.
So brilliant and so
well, I mean, if we're gonna do that, like we could open up the can of worms on AI right now. Like we have to do this because everybody else is doing this. Like, right. And companies are going in fast forwarding AI when they have no clue how to use it yet. Right. But they're just doing it because other companies are doing it. It's a trendy thing to do.
Yeah. Which one of these buckets I fall into? I'm trying to think.
I think that would fall into the last one. Right?
I mean, so part of me just thinks that's kind of like just not. I think part of me is that's just like first starter where you just, okay, hey, we're going to start. We're just going to see where this lands. But I think the other, which comes down to, though, is like the CXOs that are like, dude, I don't give a fuck what it is. Just make sure it's got AI. Like that whole mentality. Yeah. That's just, dude. Like seriously, I've had those conversations with some people.
Yeah, but that's my point.
Yeah, I wouldn't actually. It's not performative. AI performative stuff is more social pressure. You know what I mean? AI is more just it's lack of originality mixed with like, oh, I'm going to put AI in my name, wishful identification, then I'm going to be worth like $1 billion.
It is. It's literally they want to look good to their boss.
Yeah.
Right. To say like, hey man, Frank, dude. These guys, they got AI, and it's like, okay, I mean, cool, and rock on. We'll put some AI in there. We can do that.
We'd slap a sticker on it and call it AI. We're good.
It came down to, and I mean, because I guess I understand both sides of it. The guy really wants to impress his boss, and he talked us into putting AI into this solution, and we're like, hey, well, will this have like? He was like going through it. We're like, yeah, dude, like we could use ChatGPT in their AI. He's like, all right, that's enough AI for me. It's like, okay, like that's a real thing now.
Yeah. Just trying to think of other
kind of a small can
ones that fall.
I guess. Yeah.
Eco-friendly. That's
what he was talking about. The greenwashing.
Yeah. Greenwashing.
What I think is interesting though is there's like when it goes away, it's like the madness of crowds. Everybody's like, oh, it has to have this or fuck this company and then like the greenwashing thing comes in, but people forget and they forgive, man. And these companies, all the companies we just mentioned, they all come back and they all survive. Like, what's an example of one company that just like went away? Like, they just don't.
Yeah. I got that one.
I got a
even companies that are convicted of like financial crimes, like get away. They pay a slap on the wrist.
Wasn't like Arthur Anderson like pretty much behind the whole Enron thing? Like they or
well, they actually got put out of. They got sold for parts, so they actually did go away.
Okay, that was
probably the last time someone actually got like we're veering into crime at this point. I think that's a different podcast. Fraud.
Well, we're trying to expand our audience to get more lady listeners.
What?
They're gonna make up 90% of the podcast.
So why go
podcast.
straight from fucking crime? Oh, I see what you're saying.
God, there you guys go. All right, I guess I'm definitely editing this podcast.
Well, I mean, how was I supposed to know? How are we supposed to know that those stats? Like, how do you know those stats?
Really, you guys didn't know that?
90% of our listeners are women?
No. I would say all of our listeners are men, except for one. I think there's one lady in there out of the 8. Thank God. Please keep listening. No, when it comes to crime podcasts, like 90% of that audience is a female audience.
Oh, I
did not know that. Didn't know that.
Yeah. How many crime podcasts do you guys listen to?
None.
I've only listened to one, and it was probably the same
That's
one
really
everybody listened to. No, it's just the one on Adnan. What's that dude? That was years ago, though.
Yeah, the one I forget, but I know the one you're talking about. It was the one that got put crime podcast on the map. Yeah, I will say this: that the people I know, pretty much everyone I can think of that reads true crime novels or listens to true crime podcasts are all women.
Well, think about Dayline. Dayline's audience is predominantly women as well. I mean, yeah. And it's just something that I don't know what it is. I'm not going to get into the psychographics of it. I don't know what it appeals.
Maybe it's because all the criminals are men and women are just trying to understand us all better.
That's true too. You could probably say like 90-something% of the criminals are men. But I'm going to call this not our best episode. I'm going to go out on a limb and call that.
I think we crushed it. I think this was perfect. We're going to be done in plenty of time for John to get to his next meeting.
Jared, I think we should edit this one where we just cut out all the fat and see what happens.
Cut out what fat? Wait, where? I feel like the whole thing was fat. Like just trim down on some of those dead hair things. We were just like, oh, what do we say next? Like that.
I like in the early episodes there was like one or two where John and I are like we're like on topic the whole way through, and at the very end Jared's like, I don't feel like we really talked about what we're discussing today, and we're like, we literally went through and like the agenda hit everything's been on point, and he's like, now that you say it, I guess we did.
I'm glad. Well, that was early on. That was like a few episodes ago. That was like three episodes ago. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like we hit on all the stuff we wanted to talk about. Maybe for me it just wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it might have been.
Sorry that I disappointed you, Jared.
No. Yeah.
I think you're expecting something far worse out of John in this episode, and it just didn't materialize, which is probably better.
I didn't realize
you were gonna have to edit it out, or anyway, so it doesn't matter that viewers.
I didn't realize we were going to talk about DEI. Like I honestly, I didn't realize that. So maybe I didn't mentally prepare, or maybe I know I'm smart enough to realize like that is not.
This is the time you take a knee.
I think it's dumb. I think it's a dumb thing. You know.
There we go.
That's it. God. That's all I'm going to say. Right. It just doesn't make sense to me.
And I don't think that's necessarily a bad take. I don't think that's a bad take at all. I think a lot of people believe that it is dumb for multiple reasons, and I don't think it's a bad take. I don't know if I necessarily agree with it.
Can someone take a counterpoint on it though? That's what I've never had somebody make it like a very intelligent counterpoint of it. But
I'm going to repeat myself from what I said earlier. There's the aspirational goal versus the execution, which was not good in a lot of places, and those are two different things. Like I can't argue both of them at the same time.
What was the aspirational goal though?
I mean, it's equality. Like, you know what I mean? Like giving people more of an opportunity to, like, people who may have been prevented to get access to certain opportunities from prevented? Systematic means.
Well, there is an inequality component to it. The problem is I believe that it went too far. It got to the point and then it went way too far.
Is like, where is the inequality though? I guess that's just what I don't understand.
Well, if you don't believe that inequality exists, I don't think we're going to have this conversation right now.
Yeah, this is way
no, I believe
40 minutes into the podcast. This is not where I'm going to spend the rest of my. I'm not going to clear this up for you before your 2:00 meeting, John. So let's just bow out on this one, and maybe we'll pick this up next time.
Okay, so it's complex.
Maybe three middle-aged white guys, or the two of us, can solve it for the third one in the next episode. Anyways,
I guess ultimately. Let me just say a final point, though.
Oh God, no.
Life is unfair. Life is unfair for everybody, regardless if you're the kid of a billionaire or you're some poor kid trying to make $1 billion.
Oh, that's even a worse take than what you're saying.
No, it is. It is. dude. So, but I think no matter what, it's going to suck, whether you have everything in front of you or whether you don't. It just depends on what you want to do with your life. It's your fucking destiny, man. I mean, there's people that have crawled out through the gutters of shit and made things of themselves, and there's others that had everything and found the gutters.
I'm sorry, John. I've talked to too many motherfuckers who woke up on third base to think for a second that like everyone's on a level playing field. Like I just. Race aside, just
but
like
the
circumstances you're born into absolutely have a fucking impact on your likelihood of having a successful life. And if we can't agree on that, it's just a fucking matter. I'm not going to talk about it anymore.
But here's the guy that starts on third, right? And then you started. Like, let's say you weren't even in the same fucking league, but when you end up in the same place as that guy, dude, fuck that guy, bro. You know how fucking shitty and a fucking loser that guy feels. I've seen it. Dude, I've seen the guy went from zero to hero.
You're not saying anything wrong, John, but like to saying it they have the equal likelihood of success is just fucking false.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, what are we defining as success? I mean, once you take the hunt away from somebody, like, dude, fuck that, man. It's all about the hunt. And when people have like this different mindset, like, oh, I just want a fucking toilet made of gold. I mean, well, fuck them. Like, I mean, that shit doesn't exist. I mean, if you're like a person that really wants to build something, it's the strife to do that. Maybe I listened to too many Tony Robbins books. Maybe I'm the witness identification or whatever it was called.
Wishful identification. Yeah.
Well, we wish in one hand, we shit in the other, and we see which one fills up first.
There it is. This is one of our best podcasts. This is great.
No, I rambled on. All right, I'll stop. Sorry, guys.
You think? Okay. And that's a wrap for this week. Episode 16 in the books of the Business Bullshit Podcast. Catch us on iTunes, Spotify, and YouTube. James Hornick, Jared Gibson, and I guess John Sarakis signing off, reminding you that business is bullshit.